Hello, I am Carol Amendola Dianca, board-certified nutritionist with a very strong, heavy Mediterranean background. My family originates in the Naples area of Italy. So as you can imagine, the olive oil has been a standard basic of my diet and the diet of ancestors before me for many, many centuries. And it's been in the news a lot. I have myself chased the holy grail of high-quality olive oil all over the world practically. Been to many countries looking for the finest olive oil that can be purchased. And recently I came across a video that I watched by Dr. Gundry about olive oil that he has his name on the label with. And I found some of the things very interesting that he said about polyphenols. In fact, he said that his olive oil has 30% more polyphenol, 30 times more polyphenols than anything else on the market. That he looked in Italy, he didn't find it. He looked in Greece, he looked in Spain. He didn't find high polyphenol olive oil with 30 times the amount of, I guess he's comparing it to what he might call normal olive oil. I'm not sure. I don't know, it's 30 times what? I'm not sure. But then he did find olive oil with this high polyphenol count in Morocco. And he found it with a grower who grows olive trees on soil that's dead, soil that's devoid of nutrients. But yet, somehow, these olives produce 30 times more polyphenols. So let me back up just for a moment and talk about polyphenols in case you're not really up to date on them or really care or don't care. But polyphenols are the reason why we consume olive oil, or why they should be in good olive oil. Polyphenols is a whole class of nutrients that are antioxidant. And high polyphenol olive oil is very, very important, and it's very sought after. In fact, there's a polyphenol hydroxytyrosol in good olive oil that has the same characteristics as ibuprofen. It's that much of an antioxidant. It's been known to reduce the incidence of coronary artery disease, of some cancers, neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. This is becoming very, very important today to find a product and find foods that have these polyphenols or antioxidants. Well, first of all, if the trees that are growing the olives are in soil that is dead and doesn't have the nutrients, I'm not sure where they're getting the nutrients. But the other thing is, as I had mentioned, 30 times more polyphenol. I'm not sure what that's being compared to, because a very good commercial olive oil will have 500, 600, maybe 700 count of polyphenol. And 30 times that would be 21,000 count of polyphenol, which you wouldn't even be able to swallow it, because the polyphenols are what actually make the olive oil a little bitter in the taste at the end. So I'm not sure about that, because polyphenol count in olive oil depends on the growing, on the milling, on the processing, on the cold pressing, on bottling, on storing. And to make a sweeping statement that there is none of this in Italy, Spain, or Greece, but it is existing in Morocco where there's no nutrients in the soil, that for me is a little bit of a red flag. Then on top of it, he doesn't really mention how these olives are pressed, how they're bottled, how they're stored. And if you purchase it without a harvest date on it, and I'm not sure if the harvest date is on the label, I hope so, because that would at least tell you when these olives were picked. That's another red flag, because you don't really know, even if it's great olive oil, if it's been on the shelf for a couple of years, it's really has less and less nutritive value to provide. So although they slow down the progression of these diseases, and they're very, very important. There's a whole lot more to it, and the blanket statement that it's 30 times more doesn't resonate well with me. So I've looked into it. I can tell you what I tell clients when they're looking for an olive oil and looking for good quality. First of all, you probably aren't going to find it in the grocery store. If you do, it'll have the harvest date on it and not an out date, because a producer can put an out date 3 years out, 4 years out, and you don't know really how old that olive oil is. But when there's a harvest date, you know when those olives were picked. And they should come, of course, from one country. Lately, we've been seeing labels where olive oil is coming from 4, 5, 6 different countries, where olives are shipped in containers and packed in containers and shipped to a presser that'll put them all together and press them. And then sometimes that happens in Spain, Italy, Greece, and it'll say packed in Greece, packed in Italy, packed in Spain. But it doesn't mean that those are the olives that you're actually getting the juice from. And then if you can find a supplier that does do a chemical analysis on their olive oil, you can find out what the polyphenol count is. If you just look at the label, you will not be able to find that out, because all the label does is the generic stuff. It tells you how much saturated fat there is in olive oil, how much unsaturated fat, how many calories. It's about 120 calories per tablespoon. And no matter what olive oil you look at, you're likely to see that very same label with that very same analysis on it. The way that you can know about polyphenols is with a small grower, or a grower that, even if it's large, that will send its batches, send a sample of his batches to a lab for a chemical analysis and then give you that information. But again, 30 times what? I'm not sure. So I'm going to put a link in the description below of a very reputable olive grower, a second generation olive farm that are maniacs for quality. And I like that. And I like the people there, because I'm a maniac for quality, and I'm a maniac for squeezing out as much nutrition that we can get every single day by knowing what we're consuming. So I will put that link in there. I have recently endorsed this product. It's the first time I've ever endorsed any olive oil brand over the last 10 years. And I've been asked hundreds of times, what brand should I use? And there's hardly a brand to really hang your hat on, because even with good brands, there can be ranges of quality. So that's my little bit of a rant. I look forward to your comments. Please leave them below, and check out the reputable supplier that can give you a report on the polyphenol count. Also, just in parting, because of the changes in climate this year, there's going to be 30% less olive oil available, and probably at least 30% less of high quality olive oil. Not too many people may tell you that, but because of the early heat in the growing regions, the flowering of trees has been affected. And then later on in the season, there has been drought and extreme heat conditions that actually fried and curled the leaves on trees, making the olive harvests much, much less. So those are my little tips for today, and I'll be back again with regard to olive oil and other things. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to my channel. I would love it. I know you're not here to make me happy, but it would make me very, very happy. Thanks for joining.